everybody, welcome back to Jitterbug Home Services. Today we're working on a toilet that had a broken flange last time I was here, so we're going to replace the toilet. We're also going to replace the flange. The toilet has cracks in it. It's just starting to degrade, so it's a good time to replace the toilet when you already have to do this job. It has a better than wax seal on it that I put on it last time I was here. Those are reusable. You can use those over and over. It's not going to hurt anything as long as it's in good condition, and it should be. I haven't ripped it or anything. So I'll let you guys watch how I do this. I'll show you a couple of things. I'll show you really good tools to have on you for doing it, and we'll get it done. First things first, make sure the water's off. This one is. Nut rounder offers are really good to use. Remove this piece. Make sure you spin it to the left, lefty-loosey. Start it. Get my finger there. Same thing, lefty-loosey. Get started. Should be finger loose. Alright, there's the old flange. You can see my better than wax seal and bolts. These are spacers I used. These are actually spacers for LVP. But because I didn't use them for the LVP, I kept them around because I thought they'd be pretty handy for this. They worked out right. Still, it needs more, so we're gonna do more. Let's just reach in and grab that and pull that off. I'll clean that up. It's got a little bit of wax on it from the toilet. So you can see there's a crack right here. There's a crack right there. That crack caused this piece to be too low, and this all needs to be level in order for a toilet to get a good seat and be able to fit correctly. So we're going to pull all this apart and see how hard it is to pull that up, this flange up. Obviously it's cracked inside of here too, so it's definitely wasted, but we'll see how easy it is to pop it up. If it's difficult, we'll start cutting. What I told the customer is I might just cut the top of it off and put another flange over top. It sits a little above the tile, which is good, it's supposed to, so we'll see what we do. Most jobs I do, I think you guys know, I kind of figure it out as I go. There's another crack right here, looks like, so this whole thing's kind of wasted out. You can see how that, yeah, that's not good. Definitely not correct. Broken. So, we'll see if they glued that. If they did, I'll figure it out. I'll deal with it, cut it, and figure it out. So that's all old wax. No, most people think that's gross. It's just wax. It's not a big deal. The other issue here is they didn't screw it down. This is concrete. Right here. The flange, when it goes in, is supposed to be screwed down. I'm going to go inside of this and cut it. If I need to cut more, I always can. I'll show you guys the tool I use for that. So this is my drill. This is a cutter wheel. The way that this works is it goes inside of the piping to cut. Obviously it's got a Phillips head right there, so you can swap out the cutting wheel. I actually have two of these tools because I lose stuff when I buy more. Anyway, so it goes inside, you cut around inside. And it's for any time you can't get access to the outside of a pipe to cut it, because that's usually how it's cut, is from the outside. This one works to go inside and cut it and make life a lot easier, make things a little bit more possible without having to hammer up the entire floor to cut that, to put a new one in. Alright, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to shine my flashlight from my phone so you can see it. The flange, this is part of it, right here. And then there's this lip right here where it matches up to the drain pipe. I'm going to cut right under that lip so that I can fit this new flange into it. So same tool, and then cut that out, pull that out, and we'll put the new one in. Now I'm going to dry fit it first. I do my best to always dry fit things before I mount them permanently, just because you want to make sure that everything's going to work. So I'll dry fit it first. Once I make sure that it's going to fit in there well, be level, then I'll put it in with bolts attaching it and probably some kind of adhesive or plumber's something on the bottom where it meets up to the other pipe. In case of any kind of backup, it won't seep through the two pipes and get out. Is this proper? Not exactly. But it's not going to cause any problems. That's solid concrete. Most subfloor or most foundations are 4-inch throughout the house, 6-inch in the garage, and that's because of the weight that it's holding. There's also bull wire in there. It's very, very strong. So I'm gonna cut this old flange out, dry fit the new one. We'll see where we go from there. Right, so the other thing I'm gonna do, I already cut around on the inside. I'm gonna use a Sawzall blade to cut lines. Might cut 2, might cut 4. We'll see how it goes. Reason being, it's easier to pull it out when it's in pieces, because obviously, if you look at this, it's not budging. So it's, I'm sure, cemented in and glued in place. And so this is going to allow me to be able to pull the pieces out so that the whole thing can come out and clean all that up, put the new one in. When you're using a Sawzall, I find it's easier to use a metal blade. You can see the small teeth on this. That's a metal blade. And it's because you're not exactly cutting, you're more melting. It's plastic. If you're on wood, you need the big teeth. If you're on metal or plastic, the small teeth tend to work better. Right, so I cut my 4 pieces, my 4 cuts. That's here, 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 and here. You can see maybe I pulled on it with my pliers a little bit, and there's a little edge right here that I created. So you can see that. There you go. So you can see how it started to move. This is probably glued in. So I went and got a flathead screwdriver. I would get, a chisel if I wanted to make some damage, but a screwdriver I can be pretty gentle with. And so I just want to kind of ease it down in there and pull away. There's some of it. There we go. So you can see, let me shine a flashlight for you. The drain pipe comes all the way up to the floor. Okay. And just come closer. Right here is the drain pipe. And these pieces are the flange pieces that go into it. And so I'm just going to break away all these little flange pieces so I can go down into that with a new flange. Flanges in. I put a waterproofer down in there. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 tap counts holding the sink to the floor. I understand that these are supposed to be the other way if you want adjustable bolts. I prefer rigid or straight. They'll be good. So these are going to be rigid. They're going to hold right there. And that's for strength, in my opinion. Alright, so when you're building a toilet, you build piece by piece. So bolt goes on first. Bolts are going in. Bolts are both lined up. They should. And there's really no wobble to that, as it's supposed to be. You want to be mindful when tightening it up to not tighten too hard. It's really, really easy to crack the toilet on these bolts. So snug but not wrenching down on it, not trying to compress anything. Sorry, I forgot to video the other part. I put the tank on. So, tank's sturdy, bowl's sturdy, problem's fixed. Customer's going to get another water line because it doesn't match up. That's pretty normal that happens. So I'm going to put the toilet seat on, I'm going to put the lid on. When she comes back, I'll be able to connect the water line, we'll test it out. That's all that is. It's pretty simple. The flange part, of course, can be difficult, but it's all pretty simple stuff once you understand how it all works. Alright, to connect the toilet seat, it comes with plastic bolts. So Phillips head on one side and a little 1-finger wig nut on the other. You can read the instructions if you want, or you can just watch me. Basically, that's how the toilet seat connects. So this part right here, which is the hinge part of the toilet seat, pops up, opens up a hole, and that's where the bolt goes in. And so just take the wing nuts off of what's already on there. You can see it's rounded at the top. That's to hold a nice tight hold on the bottom. The hole is set up for that rounded part to kind of duck into it and hold it tight. Throw one in, flatten it a little bit, get it in there, and just get it started. Do the same with the other side, and then once you get them started, you can go ahead and tighten them up. Now you're going to want to hold it with a Phillips head screwdriver on top, or if you have a small enough flathead, like what I have sitting here, it's kind of my all-around go-to tool, that will also fit inside of those cutouts. So that's just to hold it in place. You're not putting pressure, so don't use a drill. It's just a plastic nut or plastic bowl, so you really don't want to strip these out. These get loose lots of times. You'll see somebody's toilet seat that moves. Well, when it's loose, just go underneath and screw it on a little tighter with that wing nut. And if you don't have a screwdriver around, you could always just put pressure down with your thumb, and it'll usually hold it enough to tighten it for the moment at least. Alright, so I got that started, so I'm just going to keep pressure on it, and I'm going to screw this thing on. It might be a little easier if you want to hold on to it to screw it on with the screwdriver. So there's the screwdriver, and that way I don't have to worry about the wing on that wing nut hitting the side of the toilet just because it's annoying. No other purpose, literally just because it's annoying. You guys see me use power tools for everything. Pay attention, I'm not using power tools for this. There's a reason. You really don't want to do that. Let's get those screwed on. Put the flaps back down. Push till it clicks. So you can see the toilet seat does not move back and forth. Works perfectly. Nice soft close. Apparently she spent money on the soft close. All good. Nothing wrong with them. They're just a little pricier than regular, I think, but whatever. Alright, last step that I can do before the water's on, because I don't have any water yet, is put the toilet lid on. Tip, for those of you that have never researched how much a toilet lid costs, because you haven't broken one, don't break it. They're like $150 or $200. They're expensive. Lots of times they actually cost more than the toilet to get a replacement lid. So just do everything you can not to break the lid. Alright, next job today is a fill valve. I had done the toilet flap on this one before and realized when it was, sorry, customer texted me, she's buying a water line for her other toilet. Anyways, so this one's a fill valve. When I had done the flap on this one before and it was refilling extremely slowly. So I'm gonna try to set you guys up here on the wall, see if I can get it to balance. Maybe I got it one time before, but who knows? And so for the fill valve, of course you want to empty the water out of the tank as much as possible. Now I'm not gonna stand here with a towel and try to soak it all up and drain it out into the tub or anything like that, just because I don't feel like wasting the time. So I'm literally going to, I held the flapper open for a while, and that was to let all the water out. I'm going to disconnect it down here and let the water fall out, but I'm going to put some rags down there to catch it. So it's kind of like, I'd rather apologize than ask permission. It's the same type of thing. All right, I got you guys balanced on a ledge, which is interesting. But yeah, GoPro for figuring that out. Anyways, so the water line's off. The tank is empty-ish. I'm gonna do this with the tank still sitting on the toilet, just because I don't feel like taking everything apart. You know, if it's, I say sometimes if it's not broken, don't fix it. So currently it's not leaking underneath, and if I take it apart, it might start leaking underneath. And I don't have those parts, and I don't want to send her back to the store, and I don't want to go to the store. So instead of messing with all that, I'm gonna pop the water line off, I'm going to pop the fill valve off, I'm going to put a new fill valve on, and I'm going to put the water line back together. That way, I'm not messing with the gasket down there that's holding all this together, so it's not going to leak. If I don't move it, it won't leak. Perfect. So we loosen this water line. This one's able to do finger. So I'm gonna do it by finger. Pop that out of the way. It's gonna drain some water down when I start to take this off especially. And I'm listening to noises right now. I think it's air going into the line. So it's gonna definitely leak some water when I take this part off. And that's why I have rags down there to catch any water that falls. Not a big deal. It's just water. So a lot of people are afraid of toilet water. It's literally water. It's the same water you have in your drink or in your faucets. It's no different. It's just where it's going. So take my nut rounder offers because they're just the easiest to use for this. And so make sure you turn lefty-loosey. Don't snap the toilet. So there's a little nut on the bottom, and I'll show you once I have all this apart, that holds this on. And there's a gasket on the bottom of this. So there's a gasket on the top of the toilet tank on the inside, and there's a nut on the bottom holding the whole pipe on. That keeps it from leaking any water out of it while it's just sitting here. Now, I'd explained in another video that bleach destroys flappers. You'd kind of think then that maybe bleach would destroy gaskets, and over time, yes, they do. It does. So just be mindful. You'll also see rust lots of times on your bolts on the inside that are holding the tank on. It's because of the bleach. It's not in the water. Those are stainless. There you go. A ton of water dumping out. That's fun. I don't think I got enough rags. Anyways, there's the gasket from the inside. That's what keeps the water in. And then the nut right here goes on the outside, right up there. And then the water line attaches to this pipe on the bottom side after this nut's put on. So I'm gonna go get another towel because that's more water than I was hoping for, and the new valve. Now, you guys have heard me in the past when I've recommended the better than wax seal for in place of the wax ring on a toilet. And the only one that I recommend is the Fluid Master brand because it's the only one that I haven't heard of any leaks from them. I also prefer the Fluid Master brand of most things that have to do with the toilet. Now, I didn't buy this, the customer bought it, but when I saw that it was Fluid Master, I had perfect confidence this is gonna work without a problem. Because in my opinion, Fluid Master is the best brand to get for any kind of toilet, anything. Now, I'm not a very brand specific person for a lot of things, but for this kind of business, I'm extremely brand specific because there's a lot of companies out there making the same stuff, all claiming they're better. A lot of them like to claim that they're cheaper. Fluid Master doesn't make any claims as far as I know, but they're definitely better in my opinion on a lot of toilet parts. I don't know what other materials they make, and I'm not sponsored. Wouldn't mind it. So Fluid Master, if you want to sponsor me and send me free stuff, that'd be cool. But I'm not sponsored by Fluid Master. I just really like their products. This one comes with a flapper. We don't need the flapper, but I'm gonna let her keep it around because, well, eventually she will need it. This is a fill valve. This is a float switch. When the water comes up, when it floats up, it shuts off the valve. This is your gasket, brand new, which is nice. That's gonna go down in there. Has a nut with it, just like the old one did, to come up on the bottom side. There's the nut. It's got this piece right here, which holds the hose onto this piece. And here's the hose for it. That's where your water fills up into there. Okay. Obviously there's instructions in here. But I've done this once or twice, so I'm not gonna read the instructions. These are adjustable. So you see this knob right here is a plus and minus with arrows. You can adjust how much water is being filled up because you're adjusting how high the float switch is. So if the float switch is lower, and then when the water's lower, still rising and raises it up, it'll rise this earlier. Just shut off the valve. If it's higher up, you'll get more water in your toilet and it'll wait a little longer before it floats it up to shut off your valve. They're also adjustable right here for height. So depending on the height of your toilet, you don't want the lid to touch that. But right here looks pretty good. So you can twist this right here, out or in, to adjust it either way. That adjusts it to make it smaller so it sits lower, or if you want to, you can adjust it to be higher so it sits higher. That's a little close, so I'm going to adjust it down a little bit and then we'll leave it there. This is a lock ring. If you want this adjustment to work easier, pop that lock ring off and it'll slide right out. With most things I put whatever it's called, this stuff, joint compound, on the threads, and it's a waterproofing compound that just makes it so it's not going to leak. So joint compound, really good stuff. It's basically Teflon tape, but it's liquid, kind of. It's more of a plasma, I guess you could call it. And it stays wet forever. So it works really, really well for this kind of stuff. So I'm putting it on the bottom, and I know that seems odd because that's where the water line is going to connect. I need it on the water line as well when the water line connects. But if I put it on the bottom and then I screw the nut onto this thing, it's going to actually spread the joint compound through all of the threads. And so I only have to put it on once, and all of the threads are going to be contacted by it. So move the water line out of the way, put that down in there. We're going to pull our nut out. This thing goes on by finger. You shouldn't need to break the seal with a wrench, pliers, whatever. You can, which means you shouldn't have to put it on with those, but you can. So it's not going to hurt anything as long as you don't crack the tank. If you crack the tank, then, well, you got to buy a new tank. And if you got to buy a new tank, you might as well just buy a new toilet because of the price. So I don't even know if they sell tanks. I'm sure they do, but it can't be easy to get a hold of one where it's very simple to go into the store and get a new toilet. So I'm just screwing this on with my finger. Once it gets closer to being tight, I'll actually reach down there with my hand and tighten it up. Here it is for tight. So I'll reach down there with my dominant hand because it's easier. Tighten that up nicely. Actually, I'm going to loosen it a minute. Well, you got to look at where the water is coming out. This will also increase or decrease the flow of water with that knob right there. So the water comes out of this hose right here, but because it's so close to the filler tube, and because I don't want to bend it up and over, I'm going to put it right here so it's going to come around and clip on over here. So I'll leave it where it is. Alright, that's probably pretty tight. Pretty snug. While I'm down here, I might as well put the water line on. So I'll connect that together, and then I'll start building the top piece here. Once this job's done, of course you want to turn the water on, make sure it flows. Make sure it shuts off when you want it to, make sure it turns on where you want it to. And also make sure there's no leaks. So that new gasket down there, we gotta check that and make sure it doesn't leak. The easiest way to do that, turn the water on and put your fingers underneath. Check for any water coming out. You can also look visually, but it's not that necessary. Alright, I fit the water line over that little nub. There's a hole in that, just so it can come out of there. The other side, I put over here where the water comes out.
In here?
Yeah, I'm in here. Connect it up.
How's it going?
Good. Just finishing up.